On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Majorly hypocrisy going on right now. Shouldn't surprise anybody. And, yeah, we got a crazy judge that's involved. We got a whole lot of news to talk about. Break in at J.D. Vance's house and all sorts of fun, crazy things to get into. Let's get that ball rolling. I got to start with the beginning, as always. Some amazing news. Congratulations to you guys. We did this. Disgraced Governor Tim Walz drops out of the governor's race. His quote's actually funny, in my opinion. He says, in September, I announced that I would run for a historic third term as Minnesota's governor, and I have every confidence that if I gave it my all, I would succeed in that effort. But as I reflected on this moment with my family and my team over the holidays, I came to the conclusion that I can't give a political campaign my all. Every minute I spend defending my own political interests would be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals who prey on our generosity and the cynics who prey on our differences. Who prey on our generosity. You mean the federal tax dollars you give away freely, Tim Walz? Is that our generosity that you're referring to? Doesn't sound like it's your generosity at all, nor your state's. It actually sounds more like you're wasting federal dollars. But then, yes, on top of that, you're wasting your own taxpayers' dollars. That's fantastic. So he says he's decided to step out of the race and let others worry about the election while I focus on the work. Yeah, being retarded. You keep working on it. Trump claims $19 billion in Somali fraud. He definitely promises deportations. There's a little of that.
It's almost not even believable. This very stupid, low IQ governor, he's a very stupid man because, I had a campaign against him with JD. And he's a stupid man. And he's a corrupt politician. And the Somalians are ripping off our country to the tune of, looks like $19 billion, but that's only what they can find. So usually when you're looking at 19, that would mean it could be 50. But the numbers are astronomical. Think of it. They have a dead country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. They don't have a military. All they do is run around shooting people and trying to capture ships. We don't let them take ships anymore. You know why? We use the same exact missile on them that we use on the drug carriers. And it's very effective. So you notice there's nobody capturing ships anymore? Because as they head out to go capture the ship, and the ship doesn't want to fire back because it's very flammable stuff in many cases. And the insurance companies don't want, because they build $1 billion ship, and they don't want anybody firing rockets into the ship. But we're hitting them so hard, and it's very similar. Same missile system. It's called deadly accurate. And do you notice that ships aren't being taken anymore? The pirates are.
That's right. I hadn't thought about
the pirates aren't. Well,
no Somali pirates.
It's actually very easy. They head out. We say, guess what? There's pirates. Bing. That's the end of the pirates. The shipping business is coming back because these are little things that we're doing. And I'm doing it not just for American ships, I'm doing it worldwide. Because we don't want ships taken by Somalia pirates. But what they are doing is they're stealing money from the American taxpayer. And every one of them should be forced to leave this country, including Ilhan Omar, who's a total crook. And she's one of the leaders of it. Not the only, because she's not that smart. But think of it. $19 billion at least they've stolen from Minnesota and from the United States. It's actually more from the United States because Minnesota puts in, and we're not going to pay it anymore. We're going to have Walz go pay. We're not going to pay them, and we're not going to pay California, and we're not going to pay Illinois with that big slob of a governor that they have.
Yeah, it's done. And Trump holds his promises. We know that. We're seeing that. We're experiencing that. So this is going to be bad. Ilhan Omar will be deported at some point. Now, of course, some judge is going to get involved, and you guys, you know the blueprint, but it'll happen, and eventually we'll win the case. It is going to change, and it's going to change quickly. Here's a little more that we've got going on here. Truth Social, Trump posted this.
Multiple Minnesota judges are under fire for dismissing several recent Somali fraud cases. They are Judge Sarah West, Judge Amber Brennan and Judge Hillary Caligari. The Hennepin County judges, because of their decisions, have allowed millions in alleged Medicaid theft to go unpunished. For example, the Hennepin County jury unanimously convicted Somali migrant Abdul Fattah Yusuf on 6 counts of aiding theft by swindle in August after deliberating for just 4 hours. He stole $7.2 million from Medicaid. Jurors described the evidence as overwhelming, with the foreperson saying it was beyond a reasonable doubt based on financial records, witness testimony, and patterns of fraud, diversion. However, in a reversal, Judge Sarah West arbitrarily set aside the jury's verdict and entered a judgment of acquittal on all counts. West ruled that the prosecution's evidence was circumstantial, even though they proved that Yusuf had control over the company and directly received over $1.1 million in transfers. She ruled that they failed to exclude every possible hypothesis of innocence. Judge Brennan dismissed all charges against Lul Ahmad, Yusuf's wife, and alleged co-conspirator, saying there was insufficient evidence before trial. This kept any evidence of documents showing her involvement in check cashing and fund transfers tied to the scheme from going public. Judge Caligari threw out the case against co-defendant Mohammed, who faced racketeering and theft charges for his role in a connected home healthcare operation that allegedly stole over $1.8 million in ineligible Medicaid reimbursement.
Now, one of the things I'm not sure about, and I'm curious how this plays out, is how we remove these horrible judges. And they're all over the place. So Trump will be busy putting new judges back in. That will happen. But again, how and when, we'll see. This is going to be a battle. We'll continue on. Gavin Newsom, he's actively tried to conceal waste and fraud and homelessness spending. He vetoed a bill that would require reporting. He says this bill would require state agencies and departments administering homelessness programs to report costs and outcome data annually to the California Interagency Council on Homelessness using standardized procedures beginning September 1st, 2025. It would also require Cal ICH to compile and publicly reveal this data each year starting April 1st, 2026. Said, when I fully support efforts to increase accountability and the effectiveness of our state homelessness programs, similar measures are already in place. Legislation enacted as part of 2024 Budget Act, Assembly Bill 166, Chapter 48, includes enhanced reporting requirements for 2 of the state's largest homeless programs. Specifically, Assembly Bill 166 mandates monthly reporting of outcomes for all rounds of the homelessness, housing assistance, and prevention programs, and annual outcome reporting for the encampment resolution program. These reports will be made public very soon. But one of the things that's funny is they also want cost data. And very specifically, Newsom leaves that part out. Well, outcome data's there. We got the outcome, whether or not anything's changed. But cost, no. How much of that cost is wasted? No. And I'm sure it's significantly worse than anything Minnesota even tries or dreams of doing. Judge convicted of helping illegal alien escape. She's resigned and now facing 5 years in prison. I look forward to finding out when she gets deported, or when she gets her 5-year sentence. We'll see if a judge throws it out or something crazy. Dan Bongino makes his resignation from the FBI official. I believe today is his last day. No, the 3rd, I guess. We will see Dan Bongino back on his podcast, probably, if not already today, any day now. I'm sure he's looking forward to that, and I'm sure a lot of people are as well. There's the end of the pirates. POTUS going off about the Somali pirates. Here's a little of that. Check it out. Oops, let's get that over here.
Somali pirates.
It's actually very easy. They head out. We say, guess what? There's pirates. That's the end of the pirates. The shipping business is coming back because, see, these are little things that we're doing. And I'm doing it not just for...
Yeah, we already played that part. So yeah, he's blowing them up with these special, highly accurate weapons. We know that. Donald Trump truthed this out. It was a post by Real Robert. Said, here it is. This is why Democrats fight tooth and nail against national voter ID laws. 20 public officials stole elections by buying votes, spending $400,000 to purchase 8,000 votes over several elections. Barack Obama qualified for the primary with 534 signatures. The prosecutor discovered 3 years later that 100 to 200 of those signatures were forged. Barack Obama was never qualified for the primary in Indiana, meaning Barack Obama was no president. Barack Obama is no president, much less a former president. Oh, we have so many things that we need to clean up. And again, I think a lot of it's just going to be getting out of the corporate United States of America and into the Republic United States of America. But how this plays out is way above my pay grade. We'll just report on it as it's occurring. How insane did Democrats become on immigration? They literally had this creating a 21st century immigration system, and everything had to do with opening borders, making it easier to become citizens. Everything that was destroying this country, they wanted to make it more, faster, easier, less oversight. This is their plan. Now, this has been removed from their site now because, well, it doesn't age well, but funny thing about archives is, you can always find these. And this is from Democrats.org, and this was called Where We Stand, Party Platform, Creating a 21st Century Immigration System. If you search that, I think probably on archive.today, you should theoretically be able to find it. There's some interesting search sites. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to the entire site. But all that said, yeah, pretty messed up and not a surprise to anybody. Schumer and the Democrats are facing pressure to wage a new shutdown fight. Now, they're claiming this is around healthcare, but let's be honest. This is around protecting themselves. So we'll see what happens. The expectation, I've been saying this for a while, that government will shut down at the end of this month. What their excuse will be for sure, I think a lot of it's going to be made up within the next couple weeks. And I don't know, my guess, because Trump's pretty good about this, my guess is Trump is going to do some sort of maneuver in the next short period of time that's going to force the Democrats into another bad corner as far as publicity is concerned, another bad hill to try to die on, and die they will. And so this is what we're going to end up seeing. We're going to see the death of the Democrat Party, and it's going to be led by Chuck Schumer yet again. Fantastic. In fact, we've got something really hypocritical about him coming up in the pretty near future. I want to talk about my favorite advertiser that I got right now. I just love these guys. I love it. I made sure I took it this morning. I had some crazy stuff I had to do this morning early. And again, it helps with the energy. It's really weird that Unimate not only helps with metabolism, not only helps with energy, but it also helps with craving. It helps with all these things. It helps with your eating habits. It also helps with the problem that 94% of us have. Insulin resistance. And a lot of it's because of the crazy foods we eat, a lot of the synthetic stuff that's in our foods. So you've got Unimate and you've got Balance. Balance is you do it one meal a day, and it actually has some fiber in it, so it kind of helps fill you up a little bit, so you eat a little bit less. And then it's got some awesome science in it that helps you, the way you digest carbohydrates and how much of the carbohydrates you digest. And so for a lot of people that have blood sugar concerns, this is a major help in trying to lower that blood sugar number. You're going to love it, especially those that monitor directly. You're going to see a difference. You're going to notice your blood sugar levels are sitting better. For those of you that get A1C tests, you're going to notice a difference in your A1C test. In fact, we've got a really, really good friend of the channel that's going to be getting her A1C test, I think in the next, 10 days or so. Should be finding out about that and how her numbers have gone down. And she's been using this product for a month and a half now, I think. She's absolutely loving it, much like I am. Stuff's incredible. Also, that little mixer thing is incredible, too. I highly recommend it. It's hard as hell to get the batteries in it, but once you get that bad boy wired up, woo, it is awesome. It is awesome. So I want to play a quick video so you guys understand how this product works and why it makes sense. And then, of course, you want to go to otfspecial.com. That's otfspecial.com. Make sure you hook yourself up and take care of yourself. This is one of the easiest ways to simplify your numbers, make your numbers better, make your insulin resistance go away, your snacking problems, your weight control, your fatty liver, your erectile dysfunction, your gut health, your cholesterol and triglycerides, your fatigue, depression, systemic inflation, I should say. All of these things are being helped just by mixing a packet in water 3 times a day and drinking it. Literally. You don't have to change your diet. You don't have to do anything other than that. It's about as easy as it gets, and there's actual science inside of this powder that changes everything inside your body, and it helps tremendously. Check out the short video. You see what I mean.
If you're constantly battling low energy, cravings, weight control, watching your health slip away, listen up. There's a simple daily protocol they don't want you to know about that's helping people ditch their meds and reclaim their health. Up to 88% of Americans potentially suffer from some degree of insulin resistance. The Feel Great Protocol is a simple 2-step daily system designed to help your body work with you, not against you. Step 1. Unimate, a powerful yerba mate extract clinically shown to boost mood, increase mental clarity, and support fat burning. Step 2. A patented fiber matrix called Balance. Taken before meals, it helps regulate blood sugar, curb cravings, and support healthy insulin response. That's it. No crazy diets, no meds, just science-backed support your body actually understands. Feel Great is perfect for you if you have low energy, weight control, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, poor sleep, diabetes, snacking, sugar cravings, gut health, systemic inflammation. This isn't a trend, it's a transformation. Start today to reclaim your health with the Feel Great Protocol.
This stuff works so good. OTFspecial.com, OTFspecial.com. You'll notice the differences in the first glass you drink. Stuff's incredible. And again, if you've got to manually stir it, I was doing it with a fork for a while. You just stir it for about 30 seconds or so. But that little mixer thing is incredible. When you get a chance to get that, you'll be stoked that you did. All those things said, you want to check it out, go to OTFspecial.com. That's OTFspecial.com. All right. We've got some images that show of one of the stealth drones returning, I think, back to Puerto Rico after the attack. So many people are under the impression that the RQ-170 Sentinel drone was likely used. This is our stealthy drone. This is a pretty cool drone that we've got. So this thing is able to launch from carriers, I believe, but maybe they didn't want to have it that close, and considering Puerto Rico is reasonably close to where this thing, where the action was, basically, then not really a need to land it on the aircraft carrier. But yeah, this was supposedly one of the drones we used over Venezuela, which is kind of cool. Cocaine mills. Trump is putting 3 more Latin American countries on notice. Cuba, Mexico, and Colombia are all on warning. And of course, all 3 of them are extremely pissed off. Claudia Sheinbaum's already come out and said, this is unacceptable, blah, 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 blah. All right, whatever. You're not going to be able to do anything about it, that's for sure. Apparently, Elon Musk had dinner with Trump. They had, after the Maduro arrest. Musk also gave free Starlink to Venezuelans until like February or something like that. One thing that I still trip on, I mean, I've got Starlink. You got to get the dish. So just giving them Starlink if they don't have the dish already, I don't know how that's going to work exactly, but maybe they've got some of those dishes out there and they're just making it free for now, whatever the case may be. But Trump did, in fact, have dinner out there. Venezuela's interim president is bending the knee as Maduro's arraignment in New York court was imminent. It's actually happened already. Some interesting news that we've got around that as well. But the former vice president, now the current president, has basically been told by Trump, you either do what we need you to do or it'll be worse for you than Maduro. So she doesn't really have any say in this matter, as it would seem, and was probably a good thing in the big picture. Now, Nicolas Maduro, New York City court appearance, the fallen dictator was cut off by a judge. He was claiming he was kidnapped and blah, blah, blah. And the judge is basically like, no, look, here's the thing. Are you Nicolas Maduro, yes or no? And that was it. And he's like, once he got that answer, then everything was cool. Now, one of the biggest questions, I have a few questions, frankly. Why the Southern District of New York? Why? Why? Why not Washington, D.C., which wouldn't necessarily be better? Why not Florida, which would definitely be better? Why Southern District of New York? Now, I think it's because the UN is in that same district, I think, but I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'd love to see what your guys' thoughts are on the matter, so certainly let's get some comments going. We'll check those out, too. We'll try to read them up a little later today and see what you guys think, but I am very curious why the Southern District of New York. It's definitely, arguably, one of the most corrupt parts of our court system. There's so many secrets locked up in there. All the Epstein stuff was. Maybe it's under control now, I hope. We'll certainly find out. Now, this is what's really messed up. The judge in this case, who so far hasn't done anything crazy, he's just like, I just want to make sure who you are. But this judge, this 92-year-old Clinton judge who denied Trump's hush money removal to federal court, and he blocked Venezuelan gang deportations, he's the one that's assigned to this case. We know what's going to happen, right? They're going to let this guy walk. They're going to say we can't arrest him. They're going to say something. Now, I'm pretty sure an appellate court or something is going to intercede almost immediately. And I think some of this is meant to show these judges for who they are. So I do think this is part of the plan, if you will. It's a painful part for us to watch because it just hurts every time we experience it. But this is happening. So, yeah, the latest episode of the Deep State Circus that turned our justice system into a bad joke. Yeah, this 92-year-old judge. Holy crap. He's 100 years old, almost. It's insane. Nicolas Maduro, he's also hired Barry J. Pollock. He is the lawyer who represented Julian Assange, and he's going to be representing this guy during his trial in New York. Now, I've got mad love for Julian Assange, and I think what he did was amazing, and it's a shame he spent as much time in prison that he did. He's a good guy. So I don't know. I mean, this is, lawyers everyone deserves a defense, right? And obviously this is probably one of the best lawyers that money can buy when it comes to this type of stuff. We'll see how it all plays out. We'll even see if the judge is able to give a fair trial for that matter. Now, Chinese social media, they exploded over this whole invasion of Venezuela. Everyone's basically saying, this is how we should invade Taiwan. Oh. Like they aren't smart enough to figure out this stuff on their own. Again, it was just people in general. I don't think it was necessarily like Chinese military or like, this is what we should do. I think Chinese military have a pretty good idea what they're planning on doing. But I guarantee you they paid close attention to what they could find out about our particular attack, if you will. And I'm sure they probably had some technology there and maybe had some people there that were attempting to maybe see how the stealth characteristics were or how this blackout process happened, or maybe they didn't know. Maybe we were able to do this without any of that. I mean, again, one can only speculate. But there was a lot of Cubans and certainly a lot of Chinese that were in the country and probably still are. This is also going to be fun because China has completely lost control of this part of the world. And we're not going to let them have it back. And this is going to be huge. Hence the Monroe Doctrine, which they're calling the Don-Roe Doctrine after Donald, the Don. So the Don-Roe Doctrine is what's happening. And that really all had to do with us worrying about our own part of the world and making sure that we were safe here. So Monroe had a very good thing that he was doing, and it's been a lot of years since we've tried to enforce any of that stuff. So again, here we are. Now, something that people are noticing that, well, it's a lot of large craft being moved around. We have 10 C-17 Globemaster 3s with the U.S. Air Force that have been arriving at bases up around England, and I even think some in Europe. But from what we understand, most of these are either out of the Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah, Georgia, which is the home of the 1st Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiments, and the 3rd Battalion, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, or possibly coming from Campbell Army Airfield in Kentucky, which houses the 101st Airborne Division and the 1st and 2nd Battalions of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Major movements of stuff heading out to England, frankly. The RAF Fairford is where I think a lot of them are landing. So Iran's protests are getting pretty crazy. So far, 12 people have died. We also have some knowledge that, well, one, it's kind of getting worse. Two, Trump basically warned them, hey, look, if you start killing any of those people, we'll come in and help them. We're not going to let you do that. We're also finding out, I think that this is probably better. Yeah, apparently protesters are now armed in Iran. There's some image here. I hope you got a bunch of bullets, buddy, because that's stupid to waste them. But all said, yeah, they got weapons now. They got weapons now is what we're finding out. So yeah, where's the story I missed? Yeah, Iran protests, deaths rise. Yeah, as Trump is going to hit them hard if they attack those people. He's already said that. Of course, Lindsey Graham is getting a freaking chubby thinking about it. We do have a massive explosion and fire reported at a major dairy factory in northern Iran. Major dairy factory? They hit a cow with extensive gas and it blew up? Not sure what exactly created this giant cloud of smoke. But dairy farm? I don't know if that fits. Doesn't seem to, at least in my opinion. Energy levers shift as the U.S. strikes a geopolitical blow with the Maduro arrest. This is breaking point's a funny way to put it, right? This is breaking a lot of countries. It's breaking the it's breaking the communist control over this part of the world, their influence, if you will. It is definitely taking down Cuba, definitely taking down Venezuela, definitely going to be taking down Colombia. And we're going to see issues where China is now going to have a problem because a lot of the oil that Nicolas Maduro sold, he went to China with it. Not anymore. That's not going to be happening anymore. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, Trump just did this for the oil. And then everyone's like, nah, we got enough oil. We don't need their oil. Pretty much, we're going to use their oil. They're going to sell their oil to us. It's the oil companies that are going in are going to rebuild. They're going to give a lot of that money, a lot of that money back to Venezuela. And a lot of the oil is going to be making its way to the United States. Now, there's only one or two facilities, I want to say they're in the Gulf region, which is perfect, that can process what they call heavy crude. The heavy crude that Venezuela has is unique. It's very similar to like the crude that they've got up in Canada. And so one thing that's interesting is we're no longer buying Canadian oil. So Canada is screwed because of all their nonsense. We're now going to be getting extra oil from Venezuela. We also have our own oil here that we're tapping. So we have taken care of our oil needs in a major way. And so we will see that we'll be fine from that standpoint. Now, again, Canada, hugely screwed right now. Now they're trying to figure out who to sell their oil to, but it involves a lot more transportation than it used to when it was just coming across the border. And it's because of how Canada has been treating us. Canada has become very much buddy with European Union, and because of that, has lost our support. And Canada really can't exist without our support. So it's a very short matter of time before Canada starts to feel the major pains, and we'll see it soon. And they're going to have to make a deal at some point with us. Now, again, they're not necessarily going to become the 51st state. They might, but I doubt it. Greenland's more likely that would happen than necessarily Canada. And nor would we necessarily, I don't think, want Canada as our 51st state. It'd be cool if they're maybe part of some larger North Atlantic treaty thing that we formed. That'd be kind of cool once we get everything in order and the Monroe Doctrine plays out properly. But yeah, Trump, he went off script on this, and that's good. We did something that a lot of people thought we were going to do. They didn't know when we were going to do it, how we were going to do it, all that stuff. And we frankly surprised the hell out of them. They were not ready for this. And again, there's a lot of discussion around whether or not this was legal. This is almost exactly like what happened with Noriega. This was legal. There was nothing illegal about it. There was no need for Congress to support this. This was, the proper term for it? It wasn't an actual war type thing, but it was like a military thing. I don't even know what the hell they call it. I'm drawing a blank on it. But this is not going to be considered a War Powers Act situation. There's so much cases before this where presidents have done it. Almost every single president, way prior to Trump, has done this. So for them to all of a sudden say Trump can't do it, but everyone else can, they'd be like, well, you guys aren't being very concerned about consistency, that's for sure. And so, they're not going to be able to stop this. Military offensive against other nations. In fairness to Trump, most Democrats were quiet as church mice when Obama and Hillary attacked Libya's capital and military sites to achieve regime change without any authorization from Congress. They were also silent when Obama vaporized an American under his kill list policy without even a criminal charge. So, all this outrage that they're feigning right now is just stupid in every way, shape, or form. And again, regime change, not regime change, doesn't really matter. This was not an attack or an act of war, and that's why Rubio keeps trying to bring the press back to this is a law enforcement purpose. That's why we were there. They stole our technology. They stole our equipment. They didn't play the game properly on the way back. And so, again, this isn't a war declaration. We're not at war with Venezuela. That's not it at all. So, again, they're going to keep trying to fight it, but, they're not happy. And, again, Colombia and Cuba and China and Russia, they're all pissed at us for doing this, whatever. CCP Intel official. This is strange. He owns golf clubs flanking U.S. nuclear missile nerve centers. Chinese Communist Party intelligence official Eugene G owns 2 golf courses flanking Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, headquarters of the Air Force Global Strike Command, which controls U.S. intercontinental ballistic missiles and nuclear bombers. Since 2013, G has owned the golf club at Stonebridge and Old Oaks Golf Club, positioned about 2 miles north and south of the base. G, a Chinese immigrant who became a U.S. citizen in the 1980s, has served in multiple CCP roles, including as an official in the United Front Work Department, a key CCP influence and intelligence arm. He has also held advisory positions for Chinese provinces and universities and founded the U.S.-China Golf Association. Experts warn of potential espionage risks from the course's location, including surveillance of aircraft and personnel or pre-positioning assets amid broader CCP campaigns to embed operatives in the U.S. G's daughter, managing the clubs, emphasized their focus on golf. No wrongdoing by G is proven, but calls for federal investigations persist. Yes, they big time should. Now here is Schumer being a freaking hypocrite.
He brags about all these things he wants to do or is doing, but his actions belie his words. Maybe the best metaphor was his claim to bring democracy to Venezuela. There was a big policy there. It flopped. If the policy was working, Juan Guaido wouldn't be in the balcony here. He'd be in Venezuela. He'd be sitting in the president's palace, or at least waging a fight to win. He's here. And the president brags about his Venezuela policy? Give us a break. He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began.
So what can the Congress do about it is the next question.
Well, the next question is very simple, and that is that we have the War Powers Act. That's a privilege resolution, which means the Republicans can't block it. Tim Kaine and I and Rand Paul are sponsors of it. It's going to come to the floor this week. And if it is voted for, if it's voted positively in both houses, then the president can't do another thing in Venezuela without the okay of Congress. We have to pass it.
And you're
President Trump say that he intends for the United States to run Venezuela? It was reckless. It was dangerous. And looking at the president's demeanor, he didn't even seem to be aware of how dangerous and reckless it is. Let me be clear. Maduro is an illegitimate dictator, but launching military action without congressional authorization, without a credible plan for what comes next, is reckless. Now, I was in the skiff on 3 different occasions, as recently as December, and I asked the administration, I asked them, are you pursuing regime change? Are you intent on taking military action in Venezuela, Venezuelan territory? And they assured me that they were not pursuing those things. Clearly, they're not being straight with the American people. So I've been talking to so many members of my caucus today. Everybody is very, very just totally troubled, worried about how dangerous this is. Let me lay out just a few of the actions that have already been taken to hold the Trump administration accountable. First, Leader Jeffries and I called on the Trump administration to brief the Gang of Eight immediately, followed shortly by a briefing for the entire Congress in the beginning of next week.
To NBC or NBC, whichever, Meet the Press. Here's him talking about this action and putting it in the proper terms, if you will.
This was not an action that required congressional approval. In fact, it couldn't require congressional approval because this was not an invasion. This is not an extended military operation. This is a very precise operation that involved a couple of hours of action. It was a very delicate operation, too. It was one that required all these conditions to be in place at the right time in the right place. You couldn't afford leaks. We couldn't afford anything out there that would have endangered the mission and gotten people killed or killed off the mission in the optionality. We didn't even know if the mission was going to happen. How can you notify something you're not even sure if it can happen? Because in order for it to happen, you needed to have weather conditions in place. He needed to be at the right place at the right time. We needed to have forces prepared to go. There were a lot of factors in place. It was a trigger-based operation. But you can't notify that, number one, because you don't even know if it's going to happen, if those conditions will ever align. And number two, you can't risk it being disclosed. But this was not an attack on Venezuela. This was a law enforcement function to capture an indicted drug trafficker. And of course, we needed the Department of War to support it because they do have anti-aircraft missiles that could shoot down those helicopters.
But will you?
We had to take down radars. We had to take down those anti-air elements on the way in and on the way out, and that's what this was limited to.
But will you seek congressional approval for any further action in Venezuela or the region?
Well, we will seek congressional approval for actions that require congressional approval. But otherwise, they will get congressional notification. And this is not an operation that requires congressional approval. In fact, this is an operation akin to what virtually every single president for the last 40 years has conducted. The difference is that when it's Donald Trump, all these Democrats go bonkers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the difference. So yeah, we'll tell Congress if it's something we need to tell Congress about. Otherwise, there you go, Congress. Sit and spin. Efforts. Here's some more from the same interview.
But I don't think it's any mystery that we are not big fans of the Cuban regime, who, by the way, are the ones that were propping up Maduro. His entire internal security force, his internal security apparatus is entirely controlled by Cubans. One of the untold stories here is how, in essence, you talk about colonization, because I think you said Delcy Rodriguez mentioned that. The ones who have sort of colonized, at least inside the regime, are Cubans. It was Cubans that guarded Maduro. He was not guarded by Venezuelan bodyguards. He had Cuban bodyguards. In terms of their internal intelligence, who spies on who inside to make sure there are no traitors, those are all Cubans. Now, interestingly, Marco Rubio's Cuban, right? So you got to kind of enjoy that little funny part too, because, they can try to say we're racist and all this, but Rubio will be like, dude, I'm Cuban. Hello. If anybody is allowed to talk about this situation, it is moi. Oh, there you go. This one is, what is this one about? God, this was fantastic. So they already have the protests and all this stuff going on. These guys are actually commenting on how ridiculously fake this is, how these are paid protesters. This is pretty good stuff. Check this out. This is in New York, too, by the way.
What are your thoughts on this protest? Well, these guys are paid. They're so organized. I mean, it's less than even 24 hours. They got hundreds of signs made. It's almost like they have a print shop in the back of their People's Forum over here down in the city. That being said, that if you looked at all the videos out on the internet, the people in Venezuela are happy that this is happening because now they don't have to deal with socialism and communism. But the people who are actual socialists and communists are here in America protesting against what's good for the better people in Venezuela. And that's the sad part. Thank you. And this is they want to turn this country into what that country is. They don't want this country to be good. These people want to live in socialism and communism.
How is it related to Palestine? They're talking about Palestine.
How is it related to Palestine? I don't know. I mean,
I'm trying to figure it out.
There is no relationship. These people are just pretty much, like I said, they're bored liberals that have nothing better to do. They're funded. Better than probably, I think, one of the best funded people in the world. Probably $18 million a year, from what I understand, they get funded.
I confronted Manolo dos Santos, leader of the People's Forum. I said, you guys got paid $20 million a year by Roy Neville Singer to paid protests. He had no response. He didn't.
Yeah, well, he actually never says a word. He'll never, because he knows once he opens up his mouth, he incriminates himself. So that's why
he's getting arrested at every other protest.
Yeah, but he's getting arrested,
which we pay for.
Which we pay for, and he was also He was also a couple of times I've seen him with paid security, armed paid security, walking down the block with them in a protest, which is also illegal to do. What does this have to do with Palestine? Absolutely nothing. But it's the same people who protested BLM, who are protesting Gaza, protesting Venezuela, protesting anti-Trump, no kings. Yeah. Everything just to destroy this country.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll see you.
I'm assuming those were hand warmers, but yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous what the type of craziness is going on. So yeah, it only took 75 days to go from no kings to leave the dictator alone, right? So everyone was doing the no kings protest because they hate Trump. Now they're continuation of hating Trump. Now they're supporting Venezuela, right? Let's let Maduro out. And again, some judge is going to do something stupid. I almost bet the farm on that one. The most iconic videos of Venezuelans celebrating the downfall of this tyrant Maduro, who the Democrats are, quote unquote, fighting for the Venezuelan people. Venezuelan people are stoked. Venezuelan people are very happy. Venezuelan people are partying all over the place, both in Venezuela and abroad. So, yes, the Democrats are definitely not trying to help the Venezuelan people. Democrats are definitely trying to help the criminal conspiracy. That's what they do. Now, most of them are mindless. They don't understand that's what they're doing, but it is what they're doing. Fetterman talks Venezuela operation is a good thing. I think I wanted to play this. I'm going to go ahead and play this now. I think it was on a few of these Hill things, but We'll go ahead and play this one now, that Trump talking on the plane. There might be a little overlap on some of the stuff we've shared, but this was pretty good little segment.
We have to do one thing in Venezuela, bring it back. It's a dead country right now. It's a country that, frankly, we would have been, if I had lost the election, we would have been a dead country. We would have been Venezuela on steroids. Venezuela right now is a dead country. We have to bring it back, and we're going to have...
Yeah, I think we did cover that already. So good. I sort of overlapped on some of this stuff. Venezuelans under TPS, they can apply for refugee status, is what Kristi Noem is saying. So we'll see what happens if that's the case. Again, I think they're going to scrutinize these people because, again, a lot of Venezuelan gang members, Tren de Aragua and stuff like that, will likely try to sneak through the cracks. Most likely will catch them in the process. The Federal Council freezes any assets held in Switzerland by Nicolas Maduro. This doesn't affect the nation of Venezuela in any way, shape, or form, but what they are trying to do is keep them from being able to move any of this money to anybody to help other members of Maduro's gang, if you will. So his money has been frozen and will not be able to be used by anybody. And I'm sure there's a few people that have power of attorney over that money, and they can't touch it. That's awesome. Trump is saying right now Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland, and this is, of course, pissing off Denmark.
Ukraine, and we'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days.
On Venezuela, we talk so much about energy.
By the way, I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
What would the justification be, sir? What would the
justification to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true.
Sir,
they thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification be?
I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it, and they know that.
I think there's some concern that the operation in Venezuela will affect your relationship with Xi Jinping and China.
No, I don't think so. I have a very good relationship. We have the power of tariffs, and he has other powers on us.
Are you still planning to travel to see him in April?
Yeah, I'll be going in.
And they're going to have their Taiwan moment. And again, we're more or less going to stay out of that. Russia and China have given Venezuela all sorts of weapons, and we took care of that. So China's going to have to deal with Taiwan, knowing full well that they've got a lot of our weapons, and will likely take some damage in the process. It's just the way the game's played. So China, when they do the Taiwan move, we will take Panama Canal, period, end of story. I almost guarantee that's going to happen. And we'll take it from both sides. There will be no way Chinese ships will be in or out. There will be no ports for China. There is already, I think, one on each side of the canal that Chinese control. That will be done. That will be gone. And China won't be able to do a damn thing about it. So whether or not that China thing happens this year or next, a lot of speculation is they're maybe not quite ready to pull it off. And some of that might actually be because we need to start building our chips here. And I think that process is very close, if not already, sort of in Texas. I don't know. I feel like there's some chips being made here, but we need to get that way up and running because once the Taiwan thing happens, we're not going to have access to their chips anymore. And maybe this is where China will get access to some good stuff. But again, I think a lot of what's going to be left over there is not going to be the best of the best. And there is a lot of discussions that had floated around at one point that they may sabotage a lot of the chip manufacturing facilities if China does attempt to take the island, making sure that China cannot have access to those chips. So a lot's going to be happening in a short period of time. Should be kind of craziness. Donald Trump truthed this out. We have taken in and will soon be receiving more than $600 billion in tariffs. But the fake news media refuses to talk about it because they hate and disrespect our country and want to interfere with the upcoming tariff decision, one of the most important ever of the United States Supreme Court. Because of tariffs, our country is financially and from a national security standpoint far stronger and more respected than ever before. God bless America, President Donald J. Trump. Now, again, stocks, everything was up today. Everything's up. Confidence is down, which is interesting, but everything's up today. Price of oil's up, which is funny because like a lot of people are talking about, oh, because of the Venezuela thing, the price of oil has dropped. And then I open up the market and I'm like, that's not what happened. You guys are stupid. So oil is up. It's almost back to $60. Gold is up a bunch. It's up $121 today. Silver was up quite a bit. Let's see where it's actually at the moment. Let's see if it changes here. But it's up so far $3.89. There it goes, $4.97 as it's updated. So it's back to $75.98. And it will just continue to go higher and higher and higher. And yeah, it's just been up and up and up. And it'll continue. It's going to break 100 here probably within a couple months. That's going to be pretty significant in the big picture. J.D. Vance's house was attacked. Now, interestingly, I swear to God, I'm not trying to be facetious, or sort of am. I guess I am. I totally am. But the dude, I swear to God, was the guy that took out Nancy Pelosi's husband. This guy attacked J.D. Vance's house with a hammer. Kind of reminds me of that Peter, Paul, and Mary song, If I Had a Hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. And apparently he'd hammer on J.D. Vance's windows and hammer all night long, apparently. But at 12:15 a.m., he was seen a person running eastbound. The Secret Service called for police to help capture this individual. They did capture him. It's this numbnut. William DeFoor, 26-year-old, charged with trying to break into Vice President J.D. Vance's Ohio home. He was using a hammer to break the windows. Looks kind of like, it's obviously not a MAGA person. Doesn't look like one in any way, shape, or form. But, yeah, they caught him. That's a good thing. Mom Donnie is using a bunch of Biden's expats, if you will, a bunch of people from Biden's regime to help with him. So he's got, I think, a couple of them that they call out in here. Let's see. He's got, who is the lady? Skills enable Mondami to solidify public. Well, where is it? It's up here. Seen this would have been strictly thought just possible. Organized. Where is he? Twice sustained progress. Where the frick is it? Two people. I hadn't heard of them before. So that makes, let's see. Those skills and isolations are unlikely to enable Mondami to solidify public opinion. The experience of the past several years with presidents of both parties has reinforced that delivering tangible results that people can feel is the only thing that earns chief executives lasting support. Taking on fights and naming villains and demonstrating who you care about can get you far, but that must be accompanied with follow-through. So this has turned the refugees from Biden administration who quietly often carried out some of their more effective pieces of the former president's agenda. New York City is going to have Biden's cabinet member in a deputy mayor role and a top consumer protection official leading a local agency. Lena Khan, former Federal Trade Commission chair, co-chaired Mamdani's transition team and may have a role in his government. That is to be determined. So we'll see. Mamdani's doing some pretty radical stuff right now. Pete Hegseth, he's moving to demote Mark Kelly over illegal orders. And, Mark Kelly's still saying a lot of stuff and, frankly, continuing with the rhetoric. And he's like, I'm not scared. See if they're scared of me. No, I'm not scared of me. So whatever. They so far have censured him, which is something that has to happen. And right now they're actually looking at a move that could save him from a court-martial. But it does look like he's going to be demoted. And this will affect his retirement pension. Now, keeping it up, even after all of this is said and done, that could land him a court-martial. That would be interesting, because that would totally remove him completely from the military, dishonorable discharge. It would be a big, big besmirch on him, and it would, of course, kill the little bit of retirement that he was likely going to receive. So I don't think he's actually getting retirement yet, but his status as a United States Senator does not exempt him from this type of behavior, and he is and will continue to get in trouble. Real Robert posted this. He says, here it is. An IT expert, after gaining access to a forensic image of the Dominion rigging management system in Mesa County, Colorado, he demonstrates how Dominion rigging systems overthrow governments, including the United States government on November 3rd, 2020, and most recently in Brazil. Trump votes were switched to Joe Biden in seconds by simply changing the index number and without a trace. And Tina Peters is rotting in prison. Here's the guy talking about it.
Being awarded to Biden, and Jorgensen's totals being awarded to Trump.
After gaining access to a forensic image of the Dominion election management system in Mesa County, Colorado, IT experts demonstrate how easy it is to switch tens of thousands of votes from Trump to Biden in seconds by simply changing the index number next to each candidate's name.
This is a backdoor utility called SQL Server Management Studio that is actually installed on the image of the voting system.
So is it certified?
It is not on the list of certified software. What I'm going to do first, I'm just going to pull up the presidential results in Mesa County for that election. And here they are. You can see Biden has 31,000, Trump has 56,000. Okay. So I'm going to come up here now, and I'm going to make a quick change. Change that.
You changed that to a 2.
Yep. I'm changing Trump to a 1.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to rerun the report. And there you go. Biden, 56,000, Trump, 31,000. So I just flipped the results of the election using a tool that's actually built in to the voting system. And what I did is not even logged. There's no trace of what I just did now. For some reason, the logging of activities by a user that has the password are not retained.
In Pennsylvania on live TV, Trump had 1,690,589 votes, while Biden had 1,252,537 votes. The time was approximately 11:08 Eastern Standard Time. The next interval report shows Trump's votes decreasing to 1,670,631, and Biden's votes increasing to 1,272,495. The time is approximately 11:09 p.m. Live on CNN, exactly 19,958 votes were switched from Trump to Biden. This means Trump lost 39,916 votes.
Yeah, and you guys remember the elections were extraordinarily close. Again, I've used SSMS, SQL Server Management Studios, for years. I love the program, and it's funny, tables is usually where you put logging, and if you did any change to the table, it would log that change. Now, that, like they said, can be turned off or can be modified in such ways where if the individual making the changes is a user that is using, say, an SA or a SQL administrator account, then they maybe aren't logged. So there's always easy ways to fix some of that stuff. Again, a lot of the stuff would just be very easy. Any sort of DBA, database administrator, would be able to look into the settings of a lot of these things and figure out what the different triggers are set on and how they're set up and what sort of rules they've applied. So again, something I've spent years using, SSMS. Love the program, actually. And it does come standard on a SQL Server install. It's also needed to manage the SQL Server. So whether or not it's considered acceptable hardware is kind of stupid because it kind of comes with SQL Server, but it should not be on the machines that are counting votes and stuff like that because you shouldn't be able to make changes there. It should be probably on the machine where the main database is from the standpoint of doing maintenance and all sorts of different things. But yeah, no, we've got such cheating happening. It's pretty painful and obvious. We're seeing it all play out in real time. Here's a fun example of, again, hypocrisy or just the way the left is. It cracks me up. The left wants all these battery-powered cars. They want all these charging stations all over the place. But the second that affects their sleeping, well, now they get upset about it. So a bunch of people in Santa Monica are pissed off at Waymo because I guess Waymo's cars are using this charging station, and it's operated by Volterra. And apparently from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., there is this whole group of cars that are apparently charging over at these charging stations. And they're saying there's all these flashing lights and there's all this noise, and it's making it like a mini Las Vegas. And these people next door are crying crocodile tears. Again, would I want this in my backyard? Probably not, but it's still stupid technology to begin with. Nancy Pelosi is no longer the best stock trader in Congress. She has been passed up by another individual that's doing significantly better than her. Suozzi's portfolio, I guess he rose about 35% against Nancy Pelosi's modest 18%. So Rep. Tom Suozzi, Democrat from New York, Suozzi, I don't know how you say that, led all Democrats with the strongest portfolio performance. This dude's apparently spending more time working on his portfolio than maybe working in Congress, but whatever. He's getting rich in the process. Ilhan Omar, good example. This guy, another good example. These people go into Congress poor, And if they ever leave Congress, they leave much, much richer than they ever were prior. Federal employees are suing to force you to pay for their gender transitions. I don't think this has a chance in hell, but Human Rights Campaign Foundation has filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of federal employees and their families after the Office of Personnel Management announced that federal health plans will stop covering gender transitions and related hormones and surgeries beginning in 2026. So this is going to be tough. Obviously, the judge is going to put a stop on this, a stay on this movement. It's a class action suit, which is the one where they're actually allowed to do this. Yeah, we'll see it play out. I doubt they're going to be able to win in the end. We're allowed to make policy changes. One of Mom Donnie's first moves was overturning orders to protect synagogues from attacks. Yeah, he overturned a lot of stuff, undoing all the executive orders that Eric Adams did. And a lot of them were to help National Jewish Advocacy Center and stuff along those lines, making it more protected, like police protection to be at these facilities and things along those lines. And he removed all of that stuff immediately. This is what needs to happen, guys. We need to see it play out. It's much like Tim Walz. We needed to see that play out. That fraud had to happen and then get caught. And so Mom Donnie doing what Mom Donnie's going to do is ultimately going to get him caught. And depending on how he goes about this process, if he does it in a way that ever breaks the law, well, Mamdani will likely get deported. So again, Omar will probably be the first one that we see deported. We'll see. That should be fantastic when it freaking happens. Something weird happened in the airspace over Greece. They completely closed amid a failure of all communications systems. Something major went down. Of course, we want to blame Russia for it, right? Oh, it's Russia's fault. But yeah, apparently no flights over Greece. So it is a no-fly zone, apparently. I hadn't seen anything at the time of recording that suggested this has ended, but still not cool, that's for sure. Paris court finds 10 people guilty of cyberbullying France's First Lady, Brigitte Macron, because they all said she's a man, and thusly they have been arrested, because that's what they do in France, right? They tried to do that with Candace Owens, too, which I have zero love for Candace Owens anymore. Absolutely think she's a pile of shit. Dislike her tremendously. Whatever. You guys may feel differently. That's okay. But I dislike her all over the place. And I certainly don't care if she's in this fight with that. And it's just kind of stupid, frankly. But that's kind of what she does. She gets involved in stuff that really doesn't help the big picture. She just wants clicks. She wants to be famous. She wants to be even richer than the $200 million she's currently worth. Something to that effect. $200 million. Not bad. Not bad at all. Left-wing militants claim grid attack on Berlin. Literally shut down an entire electrical grid. And 35,000 homes and 1,900 businesses went dark in the middle of the night. It looks reasonably cold there in Berlin as well. So this was done by a bunch of left-wing radicals. Gotta love them. And the deep state is basically, so this individual says, who this individual is, Dominic Cummings. Cummings or Goings. He's basically said that the deep state is going to fight Nigel Farage with every ounce of being they have. They will likely go after him to the same level that they went after Trump. Now, Farage has one advantage that Trump didn't have, and that is Farage has Trump in office, in power, with tariff powers. And so Trump can try to make sure that the England or UK's playing field is level, that their pitch is level, as they like to call it. So we'll see what happens. England's in a tough place, man. If you guys don't get your shit figured out soon, you guys are going over the falls. Unquestionable. Russian military denies a missile attack on Kharkov. I'm not an expert with explosions, but we got a couple vantage points of this quote-unquote explosion. It doesn't seem to be a missile, and certainly Russia denies that they did any sort of attack. And we've been talking about false flags. This is most likely the false flag that they were able to put together. Not a dirty bomb yet, though. That's one thing we've been hearing about. But 2 bombs that blew up an apartment building and killed some civilians. But that's kind of not been the MO for Russia. Not at all. It has been very much for Ukraine. Ukraine was shelling its own people in eastern Ukraine before Russia got involved. They were shelling Ukrainians that wanted to be friendly with Russia. So they kill civilians. They're Nazis. That's what Nazis do. They do all sorts of horrible things. Needless to say, we've got a couple different videos sort of showing the footage. again, you don't hear anything coming in. You don't see anything coming in. You just see stuff blowing up and out. So again, I'm not an explosive expert. I don't even want to even try to pretend to be one. I certainly think explosions are cool, if you will. I mean, so long as they're not affecting me. But yeah, I don't know. Here's another advantage point. And it was smoking beforehand, which is also strange. So nothing seems to have landed. But again, of course, they're blaming Russia. Russia said they had nothing to do with it. And now we're finding out Baltic countries are on the alert after a series of suspicious undersea cable outages. Of course, Finland recently seized the ships of Fitberg. That's one of the Russian ones. Well, now Baltic militaries supported by NATO are on high alert due to recent damage incidents attributed to potential Russian sabotage. It's not Russia. It's definitely not Russia. Almost sure it's not Russia. I don't know. It depends, actually, on this one. It depends. Depends who these cables feed. I mean, Russia wouldn't be opposed to necessarily making NATO's lives difficult, especially if it directly accounts to attacking Ukraine. But it's highly unlikely Russia did this. It's more likely that the European Union did this. Most likely England, possibly with CIA backing, were the ones doing this. We'll see what comes out. Zelensky forces internal security chief to resign. It's kind of funny on this story. And he's mad because the investigation into the fraud didn't get stopped by this chief, right? Didn't get stopped. The Ukrainian security forces should have saw this coming, should have been able to stop it, wasn't able to, and because of that, he's now been fired. He was supposed to step down, I think. They had a fight with Zelensky recently, and yeah, he basically just got fired. Not a big surprise. Zelensky appoints descendant of a Nazi collaborator as their economic advisor. Canadian-born Chrystia Freeland. Her grandfather served as an editor-in-chief of the newspaper that published Nazi propaganda in occupied Poland and Austria in World War II. So, yeah, they're hiring her. And just to once again point out, she's Canadian-born, which is also kind of funny, I think. Gunman fires at LAPD helicopter before police dog takes him down. Got a video of him shooting at the helicopter. He's kind of weird. He's dancing around and jumping around. Kind of stupid. But eventually he ran inside and then opened the door back up and was like either threatening SWAT with his gun or something. But the police dog got him. He didn't get shot. This is bites from the police dog. Police dog took him down. And thankfully, police dog was not injured in the process. So this retard was shooting at the police helicopter, which, I mean, it's probably reasonably easy to hit a helicopter when it's hovering above you, even if it's like at 1,000 feet. Though I would wonder how far up a bullet really would go before it stops. I mean, you got air resistance and gravity kind of pulling back on it. I'm not sure how much damage you could do to a helicopter with a pistol. I'm curious. I don't know. Not that I need to find out, mind you. Thank you, police. I'm not interested in shooting at cops. Thank you. No way, shape, or form. Interesting disturbance in the force when it comes to tennis. I don't know if you guys felt it. You should have. Novak Djokovic has decided to step away completely from the Professional Tennis Players Association. This decision comes after ongoing concerns regarding the transparency, governance, and the way my voice and image have been represented. Nice. Good for him. Good for freaking him. And finally, 3i Atlas. Scientists pointed a giant telescope at 3i Atlas to scan for alien life. And yeah, Avi Loeb is such a retard. I'm sorry for all you guys that fell for this. I'm not surprised, actually, not even a little. But yeah, Avi Loeb's a retard. He's 1, former Israeli intelligence. 2, works for Harvard. 2 big red flags that anybody that was following and felt that he was being honest should have thrown strikes against what he was saying. But again, we all want to believe and see what we want to believe and see. So whatever you believe, this is the opposite of how it should be, right? You shouldn't believe something and then look for evidence to prove it. That, even though that is kind of how you prove a thesis or a theory. But the problem is if you're actually trying to figure out what something is, if you come at it from I already know what you are and I'm going to find evidence to support that, then you're going to ignore evidence that doesn't support it. or you're not going to find evidence that doesn't support it. If you're looking for what is this thing actually, you'll probably see evidence from both sides. That's what I did. I saw evidence from both sides. Again, I was open to the possibility that this could be something more than it was, but I wasn't getting the feeling that everyone else was, all the remote viewers and everything. What I was picking up is that so many people had put like an understanding of what this thing was on it. Like there's so many people that were like, this is bad ETs, or this is good ETs, or whatever, right? This thing's releasing ships. So there's all these people that believe it, and then you get all these people that remote view that aren't really capable of seeing from higher dimensions, or just kind of seeing it from this dimension. And those people saw what was put onto it, what was projected onto it, so they were picking that up. That didn't mean it was real. That just meant they were picking up what everyone was pushing onto it. For the people that actually were and are able to see from higher dimensions, a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm not seeing that. Not at all. And then for anybody that kind of understands from the larger perspective how the universe works, they wouldn't use a craft like this. That's the other side of it. You don't move through the galaxy this way. That's just not how they do it. Mostly it's done through thought forms. There's only supposedly one civilization that is in our density, or that we might see, that uses physical craft. But again, for it to take 8,000 years to get here and then 8,000 years to return, that's stupid. It's stupid. Even if you can put yourself in stasis, who's going to be back at your planet when you get home to tell about it? Nobody. Who's going to be alive still when you get there in 8,000 years? Nobody. And if you're that many light years away, however many it is, your message back would likely take a long time to get back too, right? Using conventional technologies. Again, not likely how these technologies work. And we do understand there's a neutrino collector, which many are saying is being used to communicate. And that is light. It's faster than light speed. It's actually instant. And that really comes down to like the speed of thought. Speed of thought's actually faster than the speed of light. You can think of someone and you'll pop into their head immediately, and they could be on the other side of the planet. And from the standpoint of the speed of light, it would take a second or whatever to get there, and it's instant. So this is what they saw right here. And it basically, all the experts that are looking at it now are like, yeah, pretty much looks like a comet. I mean, there's some strange stuff about it, but for the most part, it looks like a comet. This is the third interplanetary thing that we've seen. So again, not 100% sure what to expect, but it's behaving much like comets do. And if you studied comets at all, you would agree this thing pretty much looked like a comet. Had a couple weird oddities about it, but doesn't mean it's a UFO. Just means it's a different kind of comet. And we should have been studying it like way closely. And also, comets are harbingers of change. Always have been. So this was a big deal from that standpoint. I don't think this was the blue Cucina. I think that was actually Hale Bopp back in, the mid-90s? Somewhere in that vicinity. I think that was roughly when the blue Cucina came, which was a Hopi prophecy thing. All said, whatever. It is leaving the planetary solar system, and I'm sure there's still people that believe that we've got probes coming this way, and they'll be here anytime. And maybe the deep state tries to use it for their purposes, but I don't think we grabbed onto this theory as much as we were supposed to and needed to, so they're not going to be successful in their attempts. All said, chalk up one more for the good guys. We're kicking ass. The hypocrisy is playing out, and we've got a lot more to experience, but we are making a huge difference. Thank you guys for the ripples. Without you, we wouldn't be where we're at, so thank you. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.